The ruins on Titan's storm had just passed over Titan, Saturn's largest moon. The sky was thick with yellow clouds, and the ground was cold, cracked ice mixed with rock. A lone human walked across the surface, dressed in a silver suit that protected him from the freezing air. His name was Eli Grant, a scavenger, and he had come here for one reason: to search the ruins of an alien city that most people believed was cursed. Eli didn't believe in curses. He believed in money, and rumors said this ruined place, deep inside Titan's dead zone, still held alien tech rare, valuable, and possibly even dangerous. That was enough to bring him here, alone. He walked carefully through the broken towers and half-sunken domes. The buildings looked melted, like something had burned through them from the inside out. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls. Even though the city had been dead for centuries, no animals, no sounds, just the slow crunch of his boots on ice and the whisper of wind. Then he saw it, a cracked platform in the center of the ruins. In the middle, half buried under ash and frozen dust, something shiny was sticking out, a long, dark blade. The handle was smooth and black, and the edge of the weapon shimmered with a faint blue light. Eli stepped closer. He felt something shift in the air, like a low vibration inside his helmet. His fingers trembled slightly as he reached down. The moment he touched the blade flash, a wave of energy rushed through him. Eli dropped to his knees, gasping, his mind filled with images, fires burning across alien skies, huge spaceships exploding, and a warrior with glowing eyes standing tall, holding this very blade. A voice echoed inside his head. It was deep, rough, and full of sorrow. You were not meant to find this, and yet, here you are. Eli stumbled back, heart pounding. He looked at the blade again. The glow was stronger now. It was almost humming in his hand. He knew right away. This was no normal weapon. It was alive in some way. Back on his small shuttle, parked just outside the ruins, Eli couldn't stop thinking about the blade. He had it wrapped in thick cloth, but still, the energy from it pulsed faintly. That night, as he rested, he dreamed he stood on a battlefield. Dust and smoke all around him. Giant alien machines lay broken in the dirt. Across from him stood a tall warrior with silver armor and eyes like burning suns. The warrior held out his hand and said only one thing: "This blade is not a tool. It's a promise." Eli woke up sweating. The next day, things got even stranger. His ship systems glitched. The lights flickered. The comms stopped working. His AI assistant said there was no damage, but the blade, it was glowing again. That night, the dream returned. But this time, it wasn't a dream Eli awoke to. A strange sound, like heavy breathing. He looked up and saw someone standing inside his ship, tall, broad, and covered in black and silver armor. His face was hidden behind a mask, and he held no weapon. Eli jumped up and reached for the blade. But the figure raised one hand slowly. "I will not harm you," the figure said. "Not yet." Who are you?" Eli asked, voice shaking. The figure stepped into the light. His armor was scratched and dented. His left shoulder was bleeding a dark blue fluid. "My name is Corvan," he said. "I came for the blade." Eli held it tighter. "It's mine. I found it." Corvan stared at him through glowing eyes. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, Corvan nodded, slowly, like a decision had been made. "No," he said. "It is not yours. It belonged to my father." Eli blinked. "Your father?" Corvan walked closer and stood tall in front of him. "My father died in war, defending this moon. That blade was forged in the heat of dying stars and passed down to the bravest of our kind. Now it calls to you." Eli couldn't speak. He felt the weight of the blade in his hands, heavier than before, like it now carried stories, pain, and blood. Corvan looked him in the eye and spoke the words that would change Eli's life forever. "My father's blade now belongs to you, human. Guard it well." The lights in the ship flickered once more. Outside, something growled in the cold night dot, and the real story was just beginning. The alien warrior's Eli Grant sat across from the alien warrior in stunned silence. The shuttle's lights dimmed again, but he didn't dare move. Corvan towered over him, not just in size, but in presence. He had the kind of stillness that only came from surviving 1,000 battles. His armor bore deep scratches and scorch marks. The silent history of wars Eli couldn't imagine. Outside, the frozen winds of Titan howled softly. Inside, time felt frozen. Eli finally spoke, his voice small. "So, What now? Corvan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he removed his helmet, revealing a face that looked both human and not. His skin was a pale, stony gray with glowing lines etched across it. His eyes burned orange. One eye was cybernetic, clicking faintly as it adjusted its focus. He placed the helmet on the table, leaned forward, and said slowly, "Now, you must choose." Eli frowned. "Choose what?" "To keep the blade," Corvan said, "or return it and die." Ellie's breath caught. "That's not a choice." The warrior nodded. "No, but it is your fate." Corvan stood and walked to the edge of the shuttle's window, staring out at the ancient ruins beyond. "This world," he said, "was the last place my father fought. He died protecting the blade from those who sought to twist it." "Twist it how?" Eli asked. Ko turned, his voice colder. "There are those who do not honor the past. They do not carry blades to protect. They carry blades to control. They are called the Collectors, and now that the blade has awakened, they will come for you." Ellie's mouth went dry. "Come for me. You hold the blade. That makes you the last guardian, and they hunt guardians." Suddenly, the glowing blade on the table began to hum. The ship's console beeped as the temperature dropped rapidly. A warning flashed. Unidentified life forms detected. Threecom and closing. Corvan didn't even flinch. "They are early," he said quietly. "Wait, they're here already." Eli jumped to his feet. "Yes, the blade's energy is like a beacon to them. They feed on memory and legacy, and you, human, just lit a fire they've been waiting centuries to find again." Eli looked down at the blade, now glowing fiercely. "I didn't ask for this. No guardian ever does." Corvan approached and placed one hand on Ellie's shoulder. "My people chose to pass the blade by blood, but when our line ended, the blade chose you. That means something." Eli shook his head. "I'm just a scavenger. I fix scrap. I sell junk. I can't even win a bar fight, let alone fight aliens." Corvan's grip tightened. "You will learn." The lights in the shuttle shut off completely. The ship's power was dying. Outside, faint shadows began to move between the ruins, quick, tall, almost spider-like in shape. A low screech echoed across the ice. Cor grabbed his helmet and locked it on. "It begins now." He pulled a second device from his belt, a small square object, and tossed it to Eli. It snapped open into a shield emitter. "This will buy you a few minutes." "Wait, what do I do?" Corvan unsheathed the thin energy blade from his hip. "You follow me. You fight only when you must. And if I fall..." He looked at Eli, eyes serious. "You run. You run and never stop." Before Eli could protest, the side of the shuttle exploded inward. A black tendril pierced through the hull and tore open the door. Corvan didn't wait. He charged out into the cold, roaring a war cry that shook the ground. Eli followed, stumbling, holding the ancient blade like a bat. The shield activated just in time, deflecting a beam of red energy that would have hit him in the chest. Outside, chaos erupted. The creatures, tall, armored, with metallic limbs and glowing red faces, hissed and clicked as they moved fast, and without sound. One leapt at Eli. Before he could react, the blade moved on its own. Time slowed. Ellie's heart beat once, twice. And then he was holding the blade correctly. Not like a beginner, but like someone trained, like a soldier. His arms knew what to do. His feet shifted automatically, and in one perfect swing, the creature was cut down. The blade pulsed in his hand. Inside his head, a voice whispered, "Good, you remember." But the memory wasn't his. He stood still as the more collectors approached. Corvan yelled in the distance, "Stay sharp, human." Eli swung again, the blade slicing through the air with a high-pitched sound. A burst of blue light followed, knocking one creature backward. The other backed away. The creatures feared the blade. After several long minutes, the last of them retreated into the shadows. Corvan limped back to Eli, bleeding from the leg. "You did better than expected," he said. Eli dropped to his knees, shaking. "What just happened?" "The blade is awakening. So are its memories." Cor took a deep breath and looked to the stars. "They will return, stronger, smarter, but now they know. The last guardian has a protector." Eli looked at the blade in his hand, still glowing, still humming, still warm. "Then I guess I'm not going home." Corvan nodded. Double quotes, "Not until you understand what the blade truly is." Eli stared out at the horizon, and in that moment, the scavenger from Earth knew this was not about a weapon. It was about history, about legacy, and something even deeper. That war. The blade didn't just choose him to fight. It chose him to remember, to carry a father's promise across the stars. Ambush at dusk. Sky above Titan turned golden. As the distant sun dipped behind Saturn's thick rings, light stretched across the icy land like silent fire, casting long shadows between the broken alien towers. It was almost beautiful if not for the feeling Eli had in his chest. Something was coming. Corvan walked ahead with a slow limp, favoring his left leg from the earlier battle. His armor still smoked in places. Behind him, Eli followed, his boots crunching softly on frost. The ancient blade was strapped across his back, humming with low energy, like it was watching the horizon too. They had been walking for hours. Where are we even going? Eli asked, panting. To the signal tower, Corvan said without looking back. It's old, but if we activate it, we can call for help. From who? Cor stopped. Anyone who still believes in the oath. Eli raised an eyebrow. That doesn't sound very promising. Cor finally turned. His glowing eyes narrowed. This isn't about promises. It's about standing long enough for others to remember. They moved toward a large cliff where rusted machines leaned against a stone platform. A giant archway stood broken, its ancient alien markings barely glowing. Just past it, the tower rose like a cracked tooth into the hazy sky. But then the air changed. The wind stopped. The silence thickened, and the light behind them dimmed far. Too quickly. Eli turned. Cor, I feel it too. Before Eli could speak again, a pulse ripped through the sky. The clouds shimmered, and three large shadows phased into view. Collector ships. Their black surfaces rippled like water, shifting in shape, reflecting no light. One of them hovered low, opening a hatch. From it dropped many somethings onto the ice below. Troops. More than before. Dozens. Maybe more. Ellie's breath caught. They found us. Corvin's voice dropped. They never lost us. They were waiting for the dusk. It's when their machines hump best. The ground began to tremble slightly. Tiny cracks formed in the ice. Corvan dropped to one knee and pressed his hand against the frozen ground. A small circle of orange light appeared. The platform beneath them responded to his touch. We stand here, he said. Eli looked around. Here? This is where we fight them. Cor nodded. This is where my father died. Eli unslung the blade from his back. It was warmer now, pulsing like a second heartbeat. He looked down at it, remembering the visions, the voices, and the warrior's promise. I guess it ends where it began. No, Cor said. This is where it begins again. The first wave came quick. The creatures cloaked in black armor limped along, moving too fast. They didn't speak. They didn't scream. They just attacked. Cor charged into the first group, roaring. His blade was faster than Eli had seen before, cutting through armor like paper. The enemy responded with hissing beams of red energy, firing from their arms. Eli ducked, rolled, and the blade in his hand lit up with blinding blue light. His body moved before his mind caught up. Slash, block, step, spin. He was fighting not like a scavenger, but like someone who had done this before. Somewhere deep in his bones, in his blood, the blade's memory spoke louder than fear across the field. Corvan fell to one knee, a blast hitting his side. He cried out, not in pain but in rage. Eli rushed forward, slicing through the collectors in his path. He reached Cor and grabbed him. We have to fall back. But Corvan shook his head, blood dripping from his mouth. Don't run from this, Eli. The blade has chosen. The memory is waking. And then the sky itself cracked open. A larger collector, twice the size of the others, descended from above. Its body shimmered with mirrored panels, shifting constantly. Its face was a flat, featureless screen. From its back, dark tendrils writhed like living wires. The creature's voice buzzed like broken radio signals. You are not worthy. Ellie's grip tightened on the blade. The collector stepped forward. Arms stretched. Kor whispered. This is one of their high takers, a memory ear. Suddenly, Eli dropped to one knee. A pulse hit his brain like something trying to enter. A memory that wasn't his played out in his head. He was standing in a circle of Threxian warriors, their blades raised. His hands were covered in blood. Not his. A voice said, we do not run. We remember. We fight so others can live. He gasped and opened his eyes. The blade in his hands lit up brighter than ever before. The collector reached for him, and Eli screamed. The energy exploded outward blue, fire sweeping across the field. Dozens of collectors were thrown backward, torn apart by ancient power. Even the high taker was pushed to one knee, shielding his face. Corvan looked at Eli with disbelief. The blade, it unlocked. Eli stood, shaking, eyes glowing faintly. I saw them. I saw your people. I was one of them. Corvan nodded slowly. Then it has begun. The Hightaker growled and began to rise again, its armor reforming. It wasn't dead. Not yet. Eli turned to Kor. Can we beat it? Kor's expression was calm now. No, but we can hurt it. Enough for others to find us. Eli glanced back. At the tower. If we activate the beacon, someone might come. Corvan pushed himself up. Then let's make it count. As the sun vanished and the sky turned black, the final fight of the night began. Not between soldier and soldier, but between legacy and silence, and the stars watched in silence. The memory inside the bladed battle was over. Smoke curled up into the sky. Shattered pieces of collector armor littered the icy ground like black snow. The massive Hightaker was gone, its body pulled into the void by the same dark technology that had created it. But Eli wasn't cheering. He sat silently on the cold stone of the ancient platform, his head low, the blade resting across his knees. Its glow had dimmed again, now just a soft pulse like it was breathing slowly, like it had fallen asleep. Corvan sat nearby, pressing a glowing medical patch to his side. His armor was torn, and he moved with pain in every breath. But his eyes never left Eli. You saw it, didn't you? Kor asked at last. Eli nodded slowly. Not just saw. I felt it. Kor's face grew serious. What did the blade show you? Eli closed his eyes. A child. He was hiding in a burned village. The sky was red, smoke everywhere. Soldiers were shouting, and then his voice dropped to a whisper. His father came for him. Tall, brave, carrying the blade. It was glowing in his hand, just like it glows for me. Kor was silent for a long time. Then he said, that was me, the child. Eli looked up, shocked. My father was the last blade general of the Threxian Guard. Kor said quietly. He died that day. That was the last time I saw him alive. Ellie's throat tightened. The blade saved you. No, Kor said. He saved me. The blade only remembers. The wind stirred softly across the ruins, whispering around the broken towers like old voices coming back to life. Eli stood and walked toward a small wall nearby. It had symbols carved into it, alien letters that shimmered faintly. He reached out and touched them, and the blade in his hand began to glow again, slightly stronger now. Suddenly, the world shifted, not outside, inside his mind. Ellie's eyes widened. The ice under his feet vanished. He now stood on a different planet, under a twin-sun sky. Before him stretched green fields and stone temples. Threxian children ran across the grass, laughing. The city was alive, full of music and color. But then the vision changed. Explosions tore through the sky. Collector ships descended in clouds of smoke. The air turned black. The laughter stopped. Screams echoed. And in the center of it all, the young Kor cried out, Father. Eli turned in the vision. There, standing tall, bloodied, but unbroken, was the blade general. He carried the same weapon Eli now held. His eyes were full of sorrow, but his voice was calm. Run, my son. Guard your heart. The blade will find you again. He turned and charged into the fire. The vision shattered. Eli fell to his knees, gasping. The blade clattered beside him, pulsing violently now. Corvan rushed to his side. What happened? I was there, Eli said. I felt everything. His voice, his fear, his sacrifice. Kor's face softened. The blade is accepting you. What is it doing to me? Eli asked. Kor sat beside him. The blade doesn't just carry energy. It carries memory. Every warrior who ever held. It lives inside it. When it chooses someone, it begins to share those memories piece by piece. Eli looked down at the blade. Why me? Kor was silent. Finally, he said, because you needed it, and because it needed you. Eli frowned. But I'm not a warrior. Neither was my father, until the war made him one. Eli picked up the blade again. It felt warmer, lighter, like it was no longer just a weapon, but a companion. We can't keep running forever, he said. No. Kor agreed. But we're not running now. We've made noise. The galaxy will hear us. Eli turned to him. You said something earlier, that others might still believe in the oath. Who are they? Kor's eyes lit up slightly. Old allies. Some are scattered. Some are hiding. A few still guard ruins like this one. If we can reach the beacon tower in time, we can call them. But will they come? Corvan stood slowly, his armor creaking. Not for me, but they might come for the blade. Eli nodded, gripping it tighter. They walked together through the ruined city, deeper into the frost-covered mountains. The sun dipped lower. Strange blue flowers bloomed from cracks in the rock. A distant sound echoed like a soft chime. Eli stopped. Kor, the blade pulsed again. Another vision began, but this time Kor felt it too. They were standing in a circle of warriors, each holding a blade, each placing it into a fire. One warrior stepped forward, his armor marked with flame patterns. It was the Blade General. He looked directly at Eli. You are not Threxian by blood, but now you are by blade. Then all the warriors spoke as one. What is remembered cannot be erased. What is protected cannot be lost. The vision faded. Eli opened his eyes. His hands were shaking, but in his chest, something had changed. He no longer felt like an outsider. He felt chosen. Kale or Arven placed a hand on his shoulder. You are no longer alone, Eli. Eli looked back at the glowing blade. No, he said softly. Now I carry them all. Betrayal on the moon preceded the journey from Titan to Eon 3, one of Saturn's hidden moon bases. Took for days. Corvin's injuries were getting worse. He barely spoke, and his armor was locking up in places. Eli flew the stolen collector skimmer. They salvaged from the ruins, using its dark tech to slip past satellites and patrols. Every few hours, the blade pulsed gently behind him, not demanding, but reminding. Eli felt it more and more now. The presence, the memory. Sometimes it felt like a whisper, sometimes like a guiding hand. He could feel Kor's father inside the weapon, and others, too. Faces he had never seen. Speaking in voices he could not always understand. They didn't shout. They didn't command. They remembered. Eon-3 was hidden beneath the surface of a dead moon. You couldn't see it from orbit. You had to know it was there. Corvan had only whispered one word when they approached. Trust. No one. The base was old, rusted, and quiet. Its entrance open after scanning Kor's blood. A secret code passed down generations of Threxian protectors. Once inside, the tunnels lit up with pale green light. Machines still worked, barely. Signs of life were few, but then they were greeted. Dr. Lena Wells, a human exobiologist, stepped from the shadows in a long coat and dusty boots. She looked surprised, but not afraid. Her eyes went from Corvan to Eli to the blade across Ellie's back. Well, she said. So the stories were true. You know about the blade? Eli asked. Lena smirked. I've been waiting for it. Corvan didn't smile. You were supposed to protect this place, not turn it into a grave. Lena raised an eyebrow. You look half dead yourself, warrior. She motioned for them to follow. The base had signs of recent use scavenged food crates. Power cables patched with human and alien tech, even a working console. Lena led them to the medbay, where Corvin collapsed onto a bench. She scanned him with a wrist device. Internal bleeding, she said. Cracked bone. Threxian fusion cells are failing. He needs a stasis tank. Eli hesitated. Can you help him? She nodded. Yes, but only if we're honest with each other. Her eyes shifted again to the blade. Eli took a step back. What do you want? Lena leaned against the wall. Nothing. I already have what I want. The door behind them locked. Ko or Arvin's eyes widened. Get away from her, Eli. Too late. A blast of sonic energy knocked Eli backward into the wall. The blade flew from his back and landed near Lena's feet. She smiled. That was easier than I thought. Eli groaned and tried to reach for it, but two large security drones rolled in from the hallway, blocking his path. Lena bent down and gently touched the blade, but immediately pulled back. It burned her. Her smile faded. So, it really did choose you. Eli pushed himself to his knees. Why are you doing this? Lena's voice changed. Colder, flatter. I made contact with the collectors 5 years ago. They offered me something your little warrior cult never could. Survival. Knowledge. Power. The blade is the last key. They said if I bring it to them, they'll leave Earth alone. Ellie's stomach turned. You believe that? I don't need to believe, she said. I just need to win. Corvan struggled to rise, coughing blood. You don't understand what they'll do. The blade doesn't open a weapon. It unlocks a prison. Lena raised an eyebrow. So I've heard, and I say it's time we open it. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The blade began to pulse again, brighter than ever. A high ringing filled the room. Lena backed away. The security drone stuttered, and Eli felt the memory again. The circle of warriors, The fire, the voice. This blade does not serve traitors. Time slowed. Eli leapt forward. The blade moved through the air on its own, into his hand, and he changed. His posture, his grip, his voice. He shouted not in English, but in Threxian. The drones tried to fire. He sliced both in one motion, sparks flying. Lena scrambled backward, hitting the alarm. Red lights flashed. Corvan threw a weak punch at the console, shorting it. Go, he yelled. Get to the communications core. Eli looked at him. Not without you. Corvin's voice was steady. I'll find you. You have to warn them. The blade has shown you the truth. Eli ran. Down the hall, through collapsing doors, past more security drones that couldn't match the blade's speed. He reached the signal chamber and slammed the console awake. A hologram blinked to life. He spoke the words the blade whispered in his ear. To all Threxian survivors, to all who remember the oath, this is Eli Grant. The blade lives, and the prison is under threat. If you can hear this, come. The message was sent. Outside the base, far above the moon, something stirred in deep space. Old ships, forgotten. Signals, sleeping warriors, woke up. Back in the base. Lena stumbled into the control room holding a plasma gun. Drop it, Eli. Eli turned, eyes glowing faintly. No. Lena fired. The blast stopped midair. The blade had caught it, and behind her, Corvan appeared, bloody but smiling. She never understood it. He said, but you did. Eli nodded. It's not just a blade. He stepped forward. It's a warning, and then darkness fell again. The last stand moved base shook violently. Eli Grant stood in a broken signal chamber, the ancient Threxian blade humming in his grip. Sparks flew from shattered consoles. Corvan stood behind him, leaning against the wall, bleeding but still, breathing. The message had been sent. Across the stars, it was already traveling, but it might be delayed. From above, collector warships had begun to descend. 3 massive vessels, black, silent, their hulls shifting like liquid shadows, hovered in the sky. They didn't use missiles. They didn't send warnings. They simply began to consume. The base's outer defenses crumbled as if the metal had simply aged 1,000 years in seconds. Lights died. Doors melted. The collectors were not here to talk. They were here to take the blade. Eli turned to Corvan. You can't keep fighting. You need rest. But the Threxian warrior smiled, eyes glowing dimly. Rest comes after the last breath. Human. Eli didn't smile back. They both knew that breath might come soon. I saw more, Eli said softly. When I touched the blade after sending the signal, I saw a vault, a place deep underground. Not here. Not on any world I know. It was sealed, with Threxian writing, a warning. Kor's voice dropped. You saw the prison. Eli nodded. What's in it? Kor's eyes were steady. A god. Eli blinked. Excuse me? A dead god, Kor explained. Or one that should be. The collectors don't want power. They want a mind. A mind that can rebuild their broken world by destroying others. Long ago, we locked it away, using 7 blades forged from starlight. Your blade is the final key. Ellie's throat tightened. So if they get it, the prison opens, and the stars go dark. A sharp alarm cut through their conversation. The core of the moon base was under attack. Red emergency lights blinked. The AI stammered out his last sentence before dying. Internal breach detected. Evac. Static. Then silence. They had to move. Eli helped Kor up, slinging his arm over his shoulder. They limped through the hallways, past melted walls and flickering lights. Collector drones swarmed like wasps. The blade flashed in Ellie's hands, slicing through armor and electricity alike. It no longer felt like a tool. It felt like a living thing. They reached the main reactor chamber. The final room before the hangar. There, waiting in the center, was the archivist. The one who had been hunting the blade from the beginning. It stood 12 feet tall, its body made of fractured mirror-like surfaces. Its face had no eyes, no mouth, just light, constantly shifting and scanning. Its voice was calm, almost polite. You have caused trouble, little human. Eli raised the blade. You'll get over it. The archivist tilted its head. You believe you're chosen. That makes you dangerous. But the truth is, you are a crack in a very old wall. Kor tried to speak, but coughed blood. Don't listen to it. Just kill it. Eli stepped forward. The archivist raised its arms and time slowed, or maybe stopped. The walls shimmered. The air froze. Eli stood in a sea of memories, voices around him, warriors, children, mothers, all those who had touched the blade before. Him dot, and in the center of this vision stood the blade general, Kor's father. You carry us now, he said, but the blade is reaching its end. One last strike remains before it fades. Eli stared at him. Then tell me where to strike. The blade general smiled. Where it began, where it ends. Eli opened his eyes, and time resumed. The archivist fired a blast of pure black energy, but Eli rolled forward, the blade spinning. It absorbed the energy. He leapt high, landed on the platform's railing, and launched himself at the archivist's chest. The blade sang. One strike, one flash. The archivist staggered back, not broken, but clearly wounded. You fool, it screamed. You've triggered it. The floor cracked. A symbol appeared beneath Ellie's feet, the same one from the vision. A final seal, and Eli knew what he had to do. He looked at Kor Van. I need to use the blade, but it won't survive it. Neither will I. Kor shook his head weakly. Then don't. I have to. Kor's voice trembled. Then I stand. With you. Together. They stepped into the seal. The blade glowed white hot, and Eli whispered the Threxian words passed into his heart. Let what is locked remain locked. He drove the blade into the floor. The light exploded. The archivist screamed. The prison gate pulsed and closed forever. Silence. When Eli opened his eyes, he was lying in the ashes of the moon base. The blade was gone. His body hurt everywhere. And beside him, Kor was alive, barely above them. Ships appeared, not collectors, but Threxian ships. Old, beautiful, covered in symbols. The message had reached them, and they had come. A figure stepped from one of the ships, a Threxian woman in golden armor. She bowed to Eli. You did not just save our people, she said softly. You became one of us. Eli closed his eyes. Not in pain, but in peace. Legacy beyond the stars. He called it the Titan Flash. A pulse of white light seen across half the Saturn system. No sound, no fire, just light, pure, blinding, and brief, and then it was gone. The collectors vanished the moment it happened. Ships that once blotted out the stars disintegrated like ash in sunlight. The signal that had gone out. Ellie's voice. Kor's call had done more than summon help. It had awakened memory. And memory had saved them all. Eli lay still for hours. He wasn't sure if he was alive. He heard voices, footsteps, the gentle hum of Threxian energy ships arriving, hovering over the broken moon base. Kor Van was being pulled onto a stretcher. He was breathing, barely, but he had survived. Eli blinked against the light. His hands were empty. The blade was gone. All that remained in his hand was a faint burn mark. A perfect symbol burned into his palm, the same one that had appeared on the floor beneath him before the final strike. He was the last to hold the blade, and now there would never be another. Days passed, then weeks. Eli recovered inside a Threxian ship, orbiting a gas moon named Zaleth. He watched the stars from his room, eating food he couldn't pronounce, listening to languages that sometimes still echoed in his dreams. His human body healed slowly, but something inside him had changed forever. The memories were still there, not visions now, not painful echoes, but stories. Stories of courage, of sacrifice, of generations who fought not for glory, but for others. One night, Eli stood on the observation deck, looking out at a giant starfield. Beside him stood the golden-armored Threxian woman, who had first bowed to him on Titan. Her name was Commandant Rhea Talka, and she was one of the last surviving leaders of the Threxian remnant. She nodded at the stars. You still don't believe what you did, do you? Eli shook his head. I'm not a hero, no. Rhea agreed. You're something rarer, a witness, a protector who never asked to protect, but chose to anyway. He looked down at his palm. The burn mark was still there, still glowing faintly when he clenched his fist. The blade is gone, he said softly, but I still feel it, like it's inside me now. Rhea's voice lowered. That's because it is. Eli turned to her. When a blade dies, she explained, its essence doesn't vanish. It bonds with its last bearer. You now carry the final echo of all those warriors. You're not holding a legacy anymore, Eli. You are the legacy. He felt the weight of that. He wasn't just remembering anymore. He was part of the story now. Rhea stepped closer and handed him something. A small black cube. When he touched it, it lit up and unfolded into a new kind of blade. Not forged of metal or memory, but of pure light. It wasn't like the one he carried. This was his, a new beginning, We call it a sharp blade. Rhea said, forged from your memories, from your choices. It belongs to no one else. Eli stared at it, then gently turned it off. He wasn't ready yet, but he would be. Months passed. Eli began training with the Threxian Guard, not as a warrior, but as a mentor. He told stories to the new recruits, taught them about Earth, taught them what it meant to carry something sacred. He didn't wear armor. He didn't lead charges. He led hearts. And then one day, a child came to him, human, a girl no older than 10, with dirt on her face and wide, silent eyes. She had been rescued from a collapsed mining colony during the collector purge. She didn't speak for weeks, until she saw Eli and saw the symbol on his palm. She reached out and touched it. Eli knelt beside her. You've lost people, haven't you? She nodded. He placed something in her hand, a small silver pendant shaped like a blade. It wasn't a weapon, just a symbol. Do you know what this is? She shook her head. It's not made to hurt, Eli said gently. It's made to remember, and I think you're someone worth remembering. The girl finally spoke. Will I be strong like you someday? Eli smiled. You already are. Years passed. The war faded. The collectors were gone, or hiding, or scattered. A great council was formed, Threxians, humans, and other species who had long stayed silent. They called it the Legacy Union, built not on force, but on memory. And at the center of its flag, the blade, not the weapon. The idea. What is protected cannot be lost. One final moment. A quiet place, a distant world. Eli Grant, older now, gray at his temples, walked through a garden under twin suns. Beside him, a group of young warriors trained, with wooden blades, laughing, shouting. One of them, a young boy, half human, half Threxian, ran up to him, out of breath. Master Eli, Master Eli, they're saying the next generation is ready. Eli smiled. I hope they remember what we fought for. The boy tilted his head. What was it? Eli looked up at the sky, each other. He handed the boy a tiny blade, carved from stone and wire, rough but real. Here, he said, this one's yours now. The boy's eyes widened. But it's yours. Eli knelt, looked him in the eyes, and whispered the same words once spoken to him under the dark skies of Titan. This blade once belonged to a father, then a warrior, then me. Now it belongs to you. Guard it well. The suns glowed above, and the stars remembered his name.